So if you remember, a few weeks back I introduced the chicks and the latest duckling that we'd hatched out, and kind of gave a bit of an insight into what's going on with the poultry here. As you can see, they're a lot bigger now. They grew at a huge rate, like we knew they would. They're now over 8 weeks old, and they are pretty much there. They're ready for the freezer. So the plan is to process them tomorrow. They actually ended up going in with our 2 Sussex just for the last 2 days. They've actually been kept separate. We started off with them on the lawn, which is okay, but unless you've got a field or paddock or something, there's no way you can really manage a nice lawn and these utility, the meat birds. They just produce too much mess. So they were out there for a couple of weeks whilst they were slightly younger, and then for the last 3 or 4 weeks they've come into the pen and then just had daily doses of lettuce, all the trimmings from the garden, and then of course all the cuttings from the lawn. So they've basically been on a green diet, albeit within this pen, and certainly a lot happier than most supermarket chickens. So that was the meat birds. We knew what we were dealing with there. Super fast growing. You know, we have given them the best that they can have, and they have maxed out. You know, they're huge now. The other chicks are down here, and that solitary duckling. So these guys have had absolutely free roam of the garden. The other 2 white birds, which we expect to be the blue egg layers, or certainly potentially going to be blue egg layers, they are both pullets, so that's great. They are also a lot slower growing. As you can see, they're not far off the same age as those meat birds, but these are going to be at least another 12 weeks before they are laying. But we'll do a bit more of a garden update soon, like a garden tour, show you what's going on. But as you can see, we had some spare veg plants. Had these courgettes down here and some sweet corn. We threw them in down this spare border, this border we kind of dug in last year but haven't planted up yet. So that's the only reason why they're in amongst some veg, but the rest of it has been kept separate from the birds. So I guess there's a couple of things to note here. Not having kept this strain before, they mature at such a quick age. Not only do they grow big and huge, they also mature. I mean, these are 8 to 9 weeks old now, and one of them crowed this morning, which is just unheard of, really, as far as standard breeds of chicken go. Psst. Come on, girls. She's just going for the screen. Go on. Right, so this is one of the boys. Turned out 4 boys, 2 girls. The boys were a lot bigger, and they just sit down a lot. I'll try and give you my point of view right now. So like I was saying, I've been just kind of digging up some of the ground for them to try and encourage them to scratch around, which they did. Every time I've thrown the lawn trimmings in here, they've been all over that. So they have become a little bit more chicken-like. They've also gained all their feathers now, so they don't look quite as ridiculous as they did originally. But just such a mind-blowing rate of growth. And the fact that they're actually crowing already, it's just a bit odd. Will I do the same breed again? Probably not. Certainly they're efficient, and if you're just doing it for meat, you know, effective homegrown meat, then maybe it's a more cost-effective way to go, but still not quite happy with the fact that they grow so fast and they're clearly not as natural as they should be. So once they were feathered up, they actually became pretty hardy, and they're perfectly happy outside. They slept undercover for the first couple of weeks, and then soon got quite happy with the warm weather, just sleeping outside, and when it rained they went under. The wet weather and just as a bit of a shelter, Eden and I made up a quick little polytunnel from some pallet
either, so
wood, well, a
never
pallet,
gets too hot in there,
some old plastic pipe and some of the offcuts
so
from the
really
polytunnel. That worked really well actually, and quite a quick little project, even if you were growing plants under it. Costs nothing, and it gives them a little place to go out of the rain. So tomorrow's the day they'll be processing these birds. Obviously there's loads of kind of tutorials and information on the net on the whole processing and home butchering side of things, so I'm not going to go into that. It's just not really that relative to the channel. But you know, actually when we're talking about growing our own food and the veg and fruit and stuff like that, I'm just trying to kind of show, I guess, that it doesn't have to stop there, and that you can quite sensibly raise some of your own meat in the garden. And that's certainly not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be for every house. Just loads going on in the garden at the moment. Obviously all of these tomato plants are just packed full now. None of them are ready quite yet. We've got cucumbers coming out of just about everywhere in here. We're all over the place with salad, crops, veg and stuff coming out the garden. So we're doing all right. We're kind of really making the most of the space we've got here. I will try and get around to a garden tour, just to kind of give you an idea about what's growing, what's working, what we'll grow again, what we won't. We'll do a bit of a weigh-in once the chickens are all done, just have a bit of a debrief on that, and also just kind of get accurate figures on how much it cost us, how much we saved, and was it really worth it. The van project's coming on. Next job there is to start the insulation. We are currently working on the loft room. We're trying to finish that. We've got to finish it this week. We've got a photo shoot we want to use the room for next week. So Joe's painting the floor as I speak. Got panelling to go up, skirting boards to go in, and got to run a couple more lights in the ridge. So it's going to be a busy weekend. But that's it. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, grow it yourself, pick it yourself, cook it yourself, kill it yourself, and we'll see you next time.